Hey guys, I'm here today with Ryan McKenzie from Canada. He runs a group called... What is your group name? Actually, you don't remember.
So, my company's name is My Passion Media, and then we work with a bunch of other different companies as well.
And you've got one with a magazine name as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's Canada-wide media as well, except for our group works in conjunction with them. But yeah, so My Passion Media owns a bunch of different magazines, and then Canada-wide also owns a bunch of different magazines.
Okay, got it. So what he does is he acquires distressed assets in the form of magazines and companies that are running a traditional business model, and he helps turn them around by utilizing those lists and really transferring them into a modern kind of business model. So super excited to hear how he does this and a little bit about the process and how he got to that model in the first place. So Ryan, my man, how are you?
I'm fantastic. It's late in the day here in Vancouver, but it's beautiful out. So I cannot be any happier just to what's going to happen with the rest of the day after I get off this call. But I'm excited to be here and hang out with you for a little bit before then.
So I think I've explained your business model in a broad sense, but could you give us a bit more clarity around what you guys do?
Yeah, so this kind of started about, I guess, 4 years ago. I used to be just completely traditional digital, not print. And we were very traditional ad-focused business model, again, using Google AdSense, all the different traditional media buying methods prior to Facebook ads becoming into their glory as they are now. Anyways, we eventually merged with a couple other companies, Explore being one. We still have that asset. Canadian Traveler being another one, and they were basically two magazines. They were all right. They were both low six-figure magazines in terms of revenue, and we basically built them into our platform. And it was pretty apparent that advertising dollars weren't continuing to go to print. They weren't continuing to go to, there's still tons of money going in towards Google ads and display and stuff like that. But the CPMs that we were seeing back then and the price per page was starting to decline. So we
is that in terms of being a publisher online?
Just being a publisher as a whole, because this is kind of like 2014. That was when all this kind of started coming together. And that was kind of when Facebook ads kind of started going a little bit more mainstream. Like, you started to see a lot of advertisers shift their budget from direct media buys to going more towards just playing with the big boys. Like, people have been already doing Google ads for a while, but a lot more, the Facebook platform was getting a lot better. And being in the industry, you could really see that shift taking place. Anyways, that was kind of when we're like, well, this business model is not going to be sustainable with the assets that we have unless we can kind of move to something that we're actually selling to these consumers. So, traditional magazine environment is you have your media, which is like the voice, and you have people that have products who basically need the voice. And we still do sell to them. We're not completely eliminating servicing that business, but we've also
supplementary as opposed to the main business.
Exactly. So we've just kind of been like, well, why are we like in the middle here? Why don't we double end this deal? Like, why don't we be the peanut butter and the jelly? Like, let's.
One thing I noticed about that, you've made a huge shift there. Most people that are in the business model don't make that shift. What about you guys made you different in consciously realizing it? Did you have people around you? Did you seek out counsel around it? Were you guys just looking at your numbers a lot?
Yeah, so there was we tried a lot of different things. We tried arbitrage, buying traffic and excuse me, and selling ads for more. There's a whole bunch of different things that we tried in that kind of in that timeline. And we in the past, I've sold things like ringtone subscription services back in the mid 2000s, and some other random things through like affiliate marketing and stuff like that. And the amount of traffic that you need to make revenue or make a significant revenue when you're selling something especially if there's buyer intent, you need a lot less traffic than you need to sell ads to people. So we started messing with that a little bit, but it's funny, where I really started digging in was with Ryan Deiss's Invisible Selling Machine. I know like a ton of people have read that. And that was kind of like my first aggressive foray into kind of like direct response stuff. And I started doing a lot of digging and stuff like Survival Life.
We've got it here.
And yeah, it's a fantastic book.
Good book, email marketing stuff.
Really good. Definitely recommend it. I started modeling a little bit of things after Survival Life, but then probably 6 months after kind of transitioning to that business model, the problem started popping up for us. It was like, okay, well, in order to make this sustainable, we always have to be making new offers and always selling people new things. And we need these repeat customers. And initially we were actually drop shipping a lot of things, which is a terrible customer experience. Like, it fucking sucks. Sometimes people were waiting 2 months to get their product. You just do not build a sustainable business when you can go and get the same product for probably the same price on Amazon and get it overnight. So it was kind of around then where we started pivoting towards creating subscription boxes. And we've got a bunch. Like, Explorer's got the Live the Adventure Club box. This is one of our beauty boxes. Here's one of our boxes.
What's in a typical box there?
So I'll stick with like the adventure stuff. Like the adventure stuff, what's really cool about the Explorers model is it's more than just a box of stuff. So you get, basically each box is themed, and you get $150 to $200 worth of stuff in every box, and it costs you $97 including shipping, which is great. Lots of people love it. It's a good gimmick. You're getting basically 50% off a bunch of cool stuff. It's going to come to your door. It's going to seem like Christmas. And that's awesome, except for when most people get a lot of this stuff and it shows up at their door, they open it up. Really cool. Oh yeah, I'll use this one day. I'm going to put this on the shelf. We'll get back to it in a little bit. They never touch it. It rots. They might stay on for like one season, maybe 2 seasons if they forget to like cancel their subscription. But the problem is that people aren't using this stuff, and if people aren't using this stuff, we're not impacting people. Yeah, we're not impacting people's lives, and that's, I think for people that want to get into subscription boxes or business as a whole, if you can actually positively impact people's lives, your attrition rate goes down significantly. So what we do to do this is, so after you get your box, what we also give you inside the box, we give you a challenge sheet. We have a private community, and every single challenge, so there's the challenge sheet that's the quarterly challenge, and we have usually a $500 to $1,000 prize for participating and finishing that challenge. But the idea is, the stuff that we sent you isn't just a bunch of stuff that we want you to throw away or gift or whatever. We want you to go there and use it, and you're going to demonstrate it, and you're going to prove that you used it. And we're actually inspiring you to actually get out and start living a more adventurous life. On top of that, we couple weekly challenges, monthly challenges, and an annual challenge. The annual challenge is a really, really big prize. But the idea is, I don't know how familiar you are with the science of accountability, but and I don't remember the statistics off the top of it. Yeah, if you say you're going to do something, there's something like a 10% chance you're actually going to do it. If you tell somebody else, that might go up to like 60%. And if you join an accountability group, that number hits 90%. And then there's no science on this part, but we've kind of added it, is that if you add an external reward for your behavior, that number should go up even more. So as a result of doing this stuff, I'm sorry, I'll just let me finish this and then I'll get back to you. What happens is our attrition rate is so low. We're under 5% attrition on the Explore box. So, there's some people whose credit cards bounce or whatever, and that's natural. But combined with that, we're under 10%. That's inclusive of people's credit cards bouncing. So our actual people, the amount of people that actually cancel is under 5%, and we're under 10% when you account for people whose credit cards just bounced.
That's incredible. I think what's typical industry standard for subscription box attrition?
I don't even know, because we have this is our model that we've always done. I don't know what other people are seeing. our worst box that we ever had, and it wasn't one of the adventure boxes, but our worst box, I think our attrition rate was 16 or 17%, and that's our worst box. So that's even a good number. If you were to talk to most people, like the people that I've had conversations with are kind of like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? And
I know a lot of people, the way that they look to scale their subscription boxes is by selling larger periods of time up front. I think you guys are just keeping them on. Do you do that as well?
Yeah, I mean, we do both. We do that as well. You can subscribe for a year, and you save maybe 5% extra or something like that. But yeah, I mean, our key ingredient is kind of the intangible value that we provide our family members or tribe members once they are on board. So this is like these boxes. They're almost more like a tripwire, right? Like in the whole like digital marketer scheme of things, because they're just kind of getting you into our ecosystem where once you're there, you don't want to leave. Like that's just kind of getting you in the door. And then there's upsells and stuff all over the place too.
Yeah.
Like, reduced price, reduced discounts and all sorts of things. But so that's kind
cool.
of it. And
so I guess for, say, a makeup box subscription, you'd get people to try a look at and post those pictures up.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. So there's less of a challenge aspect to that box, but we have like ongoing contests where like show us using this product or this product, and that benefits two things. It gives us a lot of user generated content that we can recycle in other parts of our marketing, but it's also a really huge value add for any of the products that we feature in the box. So a lot of the products that are in the box, companies either pay us to be featured, or we get the products at a very, very like landed cost, basically. So for them, what we do with our community gives them a lot of added benefit because they get all this user generated content as well around their brand.
Okay, so that's really how you bring down costs on the product to send to people. One of the issues one of my clients have who are trying to set up the box in their business is the cost of goods with the fluctuations.
Yeah.
That's where there's like, I'm not sure how to make this work consistently.
Yeah, you either need to, I mean, depending on what industry it's in, like you either need to have a manufacturing background, and you need to be large enough size that you can actually be able to manufacture the volumes, because lots of people won't touch like a 500 item order on anything a la carte. Or the other thing is you need to have a strong enough brand. And this is one of the reasons why magazines are really great, because they usually have a sales team behind them. So we repurpose one of the sales guys into working with the existing brands that they have relationships with. And then we negotiate the products at a landed cost or at a cost, like where they pay us to be in the box, to get marketing, to get maybe a coupon code in the box, which also comes across as an added benefit to the consumer, as well as like we can give them a page in the magazine, we can give them run of site ads on the digital component, like on the website. We can do like social media shout outs. We can do a contest within our, like there's a lot of benefits as an advertiser when it's tied to the magazine, because a lot of that architecture,
the brand arbitrage and already existing sales ecosystem, etc.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than I think people initially think when they want to get into a subscription box.
I think they struggle initially. I know it can make sense, especially when they've got fixed costs. They can sell it for more than they're doing, but when they're doing different kind of boxes with different products, I think that's where it starts to get a little bit messier.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you can do is look to products that have huge margins. Like makeup has huge margins. Any sort of like beauty product, like ingestible supplements, all those things tend to have like anywhere from like 5 to 10x markups, right? But I mean, those oceans tend to be a little bit more red than some of the other markets, you know.
Okay. How do you find opportunities? So I know you started acquiring magazines. How did that come into your radar? Are you having people source these for you?
I would love to say it was me, but it's not. One of my partners, Brad Liskey, he's a phenomenal sales guy as a whole. But he, there's a few magazines that we've acquired over the years, like where the government's put out an RFP. Their costs to produce the magazine have risen to the point where it's not profitable for them. But government running a magazine and a company that runs a number of magazines, there's a lot of fixed costs and a lot of overhead that you can eliminate. So like RFPs are one. I mean, if you have a brand and there is a magazine out there that fits your brand and you're interested in it, it doesn't hurt to try to start a dialogue with whoever the owner is, because if they aren't doing much in the digital space, I would say, especially if they're not really big, like if they're in that like 10,000 or like 5,000 to 50,000 or 5,000 to 25,000 subscriber mark. I mean, you got to be careful, because you don't want something that's got a ton of subscribers, because if they have long-term subscriptions, you don't want those liabilities, because that's considered deferred revenue that it's already been realized, and you're responsible for delivering the deliverables still, right? So like, you don't want to go too big, but I mean, you go in that 5,000 to 25,000 subscriber
you getting
mark.
people who already got paid product subscribers, not just...
Well, no, the magazine subscribers. Okay. So like I mean, you want enough of an audience that that there would be demand from advertisers that you'd be able to help make an impact on their business. But you don't want them too big where you're on the hook for way too much money in the future of magazines. Or, the other thing is you could maybe look for magazines that only have 1-year subscriptions, because they're kind of already on the edge. But, anyways, my point is that if you look for smaller niche magazines that have enough of a presence that give you that respect and authority, a lot of times the people that are running them have been so close to the problem for so long that they do not see a solution, and they do not want to go out as the guy that drove the plane into the ground. They would rather get out without having to fire employees or go bankrupt or all those things. And if they have any of that fear in their mind, it's kind of like any offer. When somebody's in pain, it's pretty easy to offer the solution that they're going to take. And a lot of times that can be like an earnout. That could be, sometimes they will just give up the asset to eliminate the liability that they feel that they won't be able to overcome. I mean, it's on you on what you do with the employees and stuff afterwards. I would obviously suggest being not just going and chopping down trees and they're real people that work for these real companies, but there's a lot of assets out there that are at a discount right now. But with that said, you have to have some idea what you're doing going in there, because there are risks associated with taking over a magazine. Like if you don't have kind of a system in place, you could just get stuck having to foot those printing bills for the next year, which
major liability if you don't know how to monetize that that's there, which is why they're trying to get rid of it in the first place.
Exactly.
Cool. Very cool. What's your journey been to get to this point? So I know you said 4 years ago you kind of started shifting from where you were before, but how did you get into entrepreneurship business in the first place?
Well, I'm like an old man in this internet marketing space. I'm 37, and I've been doing this since the late 90s. So, my dad
started in 94. Internet started 94. Yeah.
96 is when I started making 95, 96 is when I started making websites. Maybe 95, I think it was. My dad.
So internet was really around for a year at that point.
Yeah, you were pretty young. But, I got into it then, started making websites, started looking to make money off it pretty quickly. Early 2000s, I had this website that had funny videos and jokes and stuff like that. It made a bit of money, and then mid 2000s got into ringtone subscription service, and then that collapsed. Sorry?
You had a website that did jokes and funny stuff, and it made a bit of money. What do you mean by made money? Is that AdSense or?
So it had AdSense. We did like back in the day, like in the 2001, I had like 500,000 subscribers on my email list there, and their advertising.com used to have like email ads that you can put inside your email, and they would pay anywhere from like 10 cents to like $2 a click. And I had like this 500,000 list, and Kevin, he was my business partner then. He's still one of my business partners now. We Claritin. This was like the biggest ad I ever had back in the day. Claritin put up an ad. It was $2 a click, and so we put this right at the top of our newsletter, and it had like a couple jokes and a couple funny. I guess they were like kind of like memes back then, but they were just like comics or whatever. And we had so many clicks. Advertising.com had to like call us and be like, "Are you doing fraudulent stuff here?" Because the tracking back then was really basic, right?
Yeah.
But I don't remember how much we pulled, but that was the first time when we were like looking at like, I mean, we didn't have a phone, but we were like looking at the stats and like, holy shit, like refresh. I think we wound up burning out like Claritin's entire budget on advertising.com at the time. But yeah, that was. But email lists were super expensive back then too, because there wasn't a lot of software.
Okay, 94. You said you're 37 now. Are you what, early 20s?
I'm 37, so that would it would have been not 94. 94, I was like 13.
Sorry, 95.
But this would have been like 2001ish when this was kind of like the when I started making money, anyways. So 20-ish.
20-ish. Okay, that's fairly significant at that age.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was crazy. I still had a job and everything like that, and it was a one-off campaign that really was a home run. But the rates did kind of like what a lot of things do in advertising space. Like, they get really popular for a bit and they get really expensive, kind of like what Facebook's going through right now. And then all of a sudden some insane amount of inventory comes back and people can't, like, a recession will hit and people stop spending money, and then there's overabundant inventory, and we couldn't make ends meet with that, so we wound up shutting down that list. But yeah, that was the beginning. And our first foray kind of into like monthly recurring revenue was in the ringtone subscription world. We had a ringtone subscription business.
So you've been working with the same guy since 2000, basically.
2000, yeah. I mean, I think when we were even kids, we were trying to make money. We were like selling bracelets and Kool-Aid and anything that we could try to sell on the side of the road. So the journey's been long, man.
Okay, you said you were studying at the time? Did you go through the traditional education route, or?
Yeah, I went to college for 4 years, and I have nothing to show for it. I actually the last year that I was in college, I was registered for all my courses or whatever, and I literally didn't pay on the day that you had to pay by, and I got deregistered. So I thought I would take a semester off, and I got a job working in tech, business intelligence, kind of like what you're super into now, right? I was in business intelligence for a couple of years, and then I read like Rich Dad Poor Dad or something like that, and we always had all these little businesses going in the background. They weren't massive, but I was finally like at this point, I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, why am I sitting in this job? Like, this job I could probably make $100,000 or something like that, but like, this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. Let's go all in and do it. So I took the plunge, and that was around 2006. And I've had in 2006. I've had to get a job a couple of times after that when things went south. But
as you do.
As you do. You have to. If everything tanks, you get a spot. I after the ringtone thing tanked, I wound up working at a cell phone company selling cell phones, because I didn't know what else to do, and I actually decided to use that opportunity to really learn how to sell. So that worked out for me.
Pretty much all the people I know that have been any good at copy, any good at any kind of business, have done sales at some point, whether for themselves or for as an employee. It's the best learning I know of.
100%. I agree.
Okay, so going from there, you said you did the ringtone thing, got another sales job. I'm sure
and
this is where you started to learn a bit more about the business end, because you went some very specific facts there, inventory stuff. Did you have that knowledge at the time, or was it more irretrospective that you started to understand what happened?
I mean, I've taken like 2 business courses. Everything else is just, I read a lot, obviously, like everybody in our space tends to do. But yeah, it's, it's just been experience and reading for the most part. But yeah, so back to the story. So yeah, while I was selling cell phones, we had built this platform. It was kind of like, I don't know if you remember like Squidoo. It was Seth Godin's like crowdsourced platform for content. Hub Pages, not HubSpot. Hub Pages wound up buying it, and basically they shared revenue. They shared revenue with users. So we built something like that. It got really big. We had about 30 million visitors a month, and then the Google Panda Penguin slap came around and just, it devastated that business. Like, it's still around, the platform, but it's not what it used to be. And so there was a lot of like sleepless nights after that, because so the ringtone thing was huge. It was like 6 figures a month, and then it got all taken away from us. So we built this revenue sharing platform from scratch. I was working selling cell phones. We were finally at a point where we were making decent money. I thought I was going to leave, and then boom, crashed again. And it was crashing. It was only making like 10 grand a month, which wasn't enough for 2 people. There's only 2 of us running it. And then that merger opportunity came along, and I was like I was so ready. I mean, honestly, that was the closest I'd ever been to packing it in on like as an entrepreneur. I was just like look at my hair color, it's freaking gray. But I was so stressed. It was like, I can't even explain how stressful that can be, and so like defeating, like getting success, losing success, getting success, losing success. And like, one thing that I've noticed in the past is that all my successes were really predicated on one thing, and so as a result of that, I couldn't transfer that over to something else afterwards. So I'd almost have to learn an entire new skill. And I'm finally at a spot now where I feel like I don't think that would ever happen to me again. I don't think I would have to go get another job, not because any of my projects are better or have more longevity than the things before, but because of the skills that I possess. I could go and I could create value for people on demand at any given point. Like, I could go and help do sales for people, or I could teach people things, or you know what I mean? So,
you've got a diversified skill set that allows you, well, essentially protection. You've got such a high value in your own identity that doesn't matter what happens. You always know that you can create value in business or something.
So anyways, that kind of that merger led to this stuff. We wound up buying another really big magazine. It's been one of the biggest magazines in British Columbia, which is a province in Canada, where Vancouver is. And then we had a bit of a relationship with our partners there didn't wind up working out. So we went different ways. They took that magazine and we went ahead. And that's when, after that split up happened, is when they just wanted to focus more on the traditional print, and we wanted to focus on all the other things. That's when we really had the opportunity to start flourishing within our own, like, kind of that little realm that we've kind of put together. So, and that kind of leads us to where we are today, which is we have over 10,000 premium subscription box subscribers. That's like people basically paying.
Yep, different boxes, right? Or
yeah, well, there's 4 different boxes. We also have, because of like the adventure stuff worked out so well, some people just didn't want the stuff. They just wanted the motivation. So we have a club for that as well. That's like $10 a month. And we just launched that a few months ago. I don't have the attrition rates and stuff like that, so I haven't scaled it per se, but that's got about 500 members. And then we got a few other little like little clicky, small monthly recurring revenue things as well that are all kind of self-sustaining with experts and stuff like that. But I mean, the one thing that, especially kind of in all the circles that I'm sure both you and I run in, is like, it's really shiny to be an expert. Everybody kind of wants to be a guru, or like their ego wants to be known as something in that space. And the one thing that I've kind of noticed, and it's a little bit hard on my ego, is that I have a lot more leverage when I'm not selling myself. When I'm not selling like education and marketing, or creating a program or something like that. I have a lot more leverage when I can take another expert and I can drop them into my systems, and I can create an audience that's based on their skill set. like I set that up and I walk away and I give that to somebody else to maintain, and I go and I find another expert and I do that. But if I'm the person, like,
if you're stuck having to deliver content or whatever, it's
crazy. Like, you only have so much time, right? And I've tried doing it a little bit. Like, I have a little mastermind, but I have not been promoting it because it's a lot of work to be the person that creates the content.
I think in that sense, it's more a passion project, and it's where your priorities lie. I think a lot of people would love to just focus on creating content. I think you tend to prefer creating the business.
That's true. That's true too. I think my ego would love to be in that, like, and just being totally self-aware of myself. Like, I know that my ego would like to be that guy because who doesn't like that attention? But when I'm actually in the midst of doing it, I'm like, ego, you're stupid, man. You don't even like doing this stuff. This is like, you could be doing other things that gives you leverage, and you actually enjoy doing more. But it's just like that internal battle, and I know not everybody probably has that, but it's crazy how.
There's something I've noticed about you. You've got an incredible amount of self-awareness. Where would you say that's come from?
I mean, a little bit of meditating, a little bit of, like, a lot of reading. I mean, reading really, really helps. I couldn't give you like a real solid answer. I like to think. I'm pretty extroverted, but I also really enjoy, like, my drive home from work, where I'm just thinking through things, or, like, even analyzing my behavior in certain situations afterwards, like whether it was good or bad, or whether I could have done something differently, or when I get angry about, this is something actually, I'm totally tangenting here, but, like, in situations where I get upset about something, and I can't remember what book I learned this from, but, like, trying to think about how I can take responsibility for the outcome, and, like, what I could have done differently. Like, even if somebody else is the one that went off the handle or did something wrong or offended me, like, it's my responsibility with how to deal with that reaction. And I like to think of, like, what could I have done differently in that particular situation to start out with, where I could have elicited a different response from that person. So kind of just taking, like, responsibility for how you behave and how you react and how you even think about situations after they've occurred has been something I think, I'm far from perfect in any capacity.
You've got some awareness around that allows you an extra tool in the toolbox.
Yeah. But yeah, just, like, the ability to recognize that and be okay with knowing that, there's always an opportunity to improve, and you always have some control over how things play out, even if it's not your fault.
Definitely taking the onus allows you to shape your world better.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Did you ever read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck? I'm trying to look in the back of your books there.
I don't have it there, but I've got it as a Kindle.
I think I might have stolen some of that from there. I can't remember, but
there's variances of that throughout many books. I think it's part Stoic, part a lot of content that has that underlying theme. Right. There's one I'm reading at the moment. What is it called? You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. It's a very good sales book, but it's a lot of personal development in it, like identity kind of stuff. So on that note, actually, I think sales is something that seems to be going through here. You talked a lot about a lot of elements to sales going on with your business, media buying, selling directly to the publishers and those relationships. Do you do media buying yourself? Do you have someone doing it for you in the team? How's that transition worked?
Yeah, so I mean, I've done both ways. Like right now, I've been running Facebook ads like for probably 4 or 5 years, pretty heavily, at least a couple $1 million. But I tried passing off one of the boxes to an agency. They did a great job, but the problem that I found is that when you have as many products as I have, and you're constantly creating new offers, it's very difficult for agencies to be able to, like, they want to service all of the products for the brand that you're working with, right? It's really hard for them to have the intimacy with the brand to the point that they can create creatives that have continuity between your other creatives and your other, I guess at the end of the day, like the company that was working with us did a great job. They found some pretty interesting angles that I never thought of before, but when you're working with an agency, it is slower. So one thing we're working on right now for Facebook ads, I built a framework that's pretty universal. So I can have different people on the team just plug their particular pieces into the right spot, and it's kind of plug and play. But we are still using an agency for Google. I'm actually using Brett Curry. I don't know if you know who Brett Curry is, but OMG Commerce, they're going to be doing our YouTube ads. And we're going to try to see if we can crack that nut. But again, it's pretty focused that we're just doing the subscription boxes and with one of the boxes. And it's not something that we're doing right now anyway. So I think I think there's definitely a place for agencies. I just think it depends. Like, my model is so big and there's so many things, it's hard to make it all work.
There's a lot of things going on. You guys move fast, so it makes sense to bring that internal, or at least bring experts in to work on a specific aspect of the business. On that note, creatives. We know, especially in e-commerce, creatives are huge in getting the product to sell. How do you guys go about that process in taking photos and getting the videography, all those bits and pieces?
Yeah, so I mean, subscription boxes are different from e-commerce. Like I was on the call with Facebook actually before I was on the call with you here, and they were kind of talking about the same kind of thing. Like, they're kind of giving me like e-commerce examples. And the thing about these boxes is people don't know what's inside the box until they get it. It's a surprise. So you can't be like, like in e-commerce, like, is this open? In e-commerce, you might take like this cream and you might like squirt it on your hands and like do a zoom in and show how beautiful our skin is or whatever it is. You show it in action. But with this, since we're not revealing the stuff, it's kind of like.
So you show a demo box, or is it purely
we'll have pictures of products or people with the products or people with the box, and we'll use like very Perry Belcher style, like National Enquirer type grabbers. So the goal of the Facebook ad for us, I mean, we have different layers, and there's like unboxing videos, and there's awareness, and there's all sorts of different stuff. But like on a very top level, like awareness level, typically it will be like a really catchy headline to get them from Facebook to our landing page where they can consume more information about it. We have our KPIs for the numbers that they have to hit. Those awareness ads need to hit to be profitable. And then, everything else kind of comes down to like the retargeting layer, the engagement layer, and our promotion layers to our warm audiences. But yeah, like the first hit isn't like e-commerce. It's not like a product example. It's like a bunch of, it's either like showing people really excited with the products, or it's just a bunch of really nice stuff and a grabber, like, finally a Canadian subscription box just for women, or there's very little information delivered in ad. It's just basically conduit to get them to the sales page.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's just different, right? Because of like the fact how you go through new products every 3 months. It's really hard to go and create a whole bunch.
But it doesn't. You do have the overall kind of imagery in the beginning that allows you to sell those products as a box, I guess.
Yeah, and to kind of get back to that question, what we'll do is we have a process. After a box has been delivered, we have like a certain amount of days that we wait until we'll do like a reveal, and we'll have like an unboxing video. We'll serve that to our warm audiences, and then we'll take like however many. Say there's 8 items in a box. We'll take like maybe 3. We'll have all the.
You've got a process every month to send to your warm audience as well for content.
Yeah, so we have the magazine, so all that content is keeping kind of us top of mind. But like we'll have like in this box, for instance, there's this like hand cream, and there's like this anti-aging anti-aging serum, and we'll create like a photo shoot with this kind of in the front with all the other products in the back, and then we can set that up as one ad, and then the next one, because you never know which product is going to be the product that puts somebody over like, oh, I really need an anti-aging serum to, I might as well try that box because it's got that in there and it's full size. That's like $90 by itself. Like, why wouldn't I buy, if I want that product? It would be stupid of me not to buy this box because it's cheaper to buy the box than it is to buy the product by itself.
And you get a heap of bonus stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's tons of, like, I mean, this box has got tons of stuff in it. But, so, like, that's kind of, from an ad standpoint, it's very much fits inside of a framework so that I don't need complex media buying techniques to and I mean, let's be honest, like, the complex stuff is, like, are the things that aren't going to last forever. Like, I mean, I had an ad today that was like something about along the lines of like, comment below if you want to know more information about something, and Facebook's flagging anything with call to actions for engagement now, and they basically scrap my engagement. So, like, I mean, that's a tactic that worked great for building like a mini chat list or all sorts of other different things in the past, and that's off the table. And if your business is predicated on tactics that are kind of built on loopholes, you're not really building a business that's going to stand the test of time, right?
That's a solid one there. I think that's just end interview on that note. It's a big point though. Like, I think your whole business model is built on longevity. Guess my question: how would you guys be affected by economic kind of factors where people do start to cut down on discretionary spend? Do you have anything in place to protect yourselves from that? Are you diversifying? I mean, we are diversifying. Like, there's a lot of little things that we're doing, kind of cross sells but when people stop spending money, they stop spending money. Like, I'm hoping that it doesn't impact us that badly, but I mean, I don't really have an exact safety net in place. But with that said, at the same time, like in the past recessionary periods, like outside of the ad spend, I don't think I've been in markets that have been too heavily affected. And lucky for me, I'm also primarily in Canada, which we don't, especially where I live in Vancouver, it doesn't seem to quite hit as hard as it does across the United States. I'm not sure what rural Canada is like because they probably get screwed. But my lens is kind of from my experience, here in Vancouver, and it's never been that impactful to me. But so maybe I'm ignorant, and maybe next time we have this call, I'll be asking you for a job. No, I think. I guess my question is: outside the businesses? Do you invest in other ways? Do you look at stocks and that kind of stuff?
Yes, definitely. Like I do a lot of. I'm personally spend a lot of my money, my discretionary earnings on personal earnings on in the stock market, like
stock and real estate, whatever it is, whatever vehicle you're looking at.
I have real estate too, but real estate here in Vancouver is like it's not something that it's pretty complicated to get.
Your market's weird.
Yeah, it's bad, but like stock market, like a lot of ETFs and index funds and stuff like that. A lot of bonds lately because I get a feeling that things are going to go a little haywire in the near future, but a little bit of gold.
All right, that's cool. Very cool. Makes sense the way you're doing things. If people do want to learn, actually, one thing that you mentioned about these processes you use, do you teach them anywhere, or would you be willing to teach people?
Yeah, I've had people ask me that quite a bit, and I always consider it. Like I have a little mastermind. It's kind of small. It's got all of Justin Brooks' media buying courses in it. I've licensed them from him. I have that. But like I said, I'm not actively going selling it, and anybody that would want to participate would have to be kind of a good fit. But people can always reach out to me. But I'm not like that's not
you're
kind
not
of
expert,
my
obviously. You're not positioning yourself as expert. It's just I just haven't had the time to put something together that I thought would be
comprehensive enough to sell.
I think a better question is, if you were to accept anyone into that, what kind of person would they need to be? Would they need to be existing businesses or just a vibe, or what is it you're looking for?
Yeah. I mean, primarily like e-commerce businesses or people that have some sort of like people that either want to get involved with monthly recurring revenue or but yeah, like I'm cool with like e-commerce people, mainly because there's very, media buying and e-commerce go hand in hand. I'm also I'm in other masterminds inside e-commerce, so I've got lots of kind of like a flow of new information always coming to me. But yes, e-commerce is a good fit. Like service-based people, not so much, but people that want to sell products or sell something on an ongoing basis, that's kind of my jam.
Cool. And where is the best place for people to connect with you?
Facebook's probably the best. You can find me at facebook.com/the RYEA Mackenzie, McKenzie or Z if you're in the US, IE. I think I'm on Twitter. I'm Rye Mackenzie, RYEMCKENZIE, or you can look me up on Facebook and try to find my personal account. But there's probably 100,000 Ryan Mackenzies.
Well, there you have it, guys. That was Ryan Mackenzie from Canada, talking about subscription models and how to scale his own businesses. Until next time, we'll see you all on the next episode.
Thanks, man.